Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another pair of fantastic indie creators. But before we bring them in, please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And coming up soon, the Oswald Chronicles, as I like to say, will rise again. And these are a couple of the books. These are actually advanced copies that I got from my printer. So the books are done. And that campaign will probably be up and running in the near future, probably about a week or so. So enough of that. Let's bring on our guests. First, my infamous Mr. Coco host on occasion, my holiday Coco host, Mr.
Only on holidays, is right.
No, that's not true. Sometimes. Please, sir.
I'm Mark Torres. I am Mark Torres of the King from Radio, the official The Big Apple Con. I've been hosting the radio show for almost 20 years, and I'm also the writer and creator of Designated, which we're going to be talking about, which has been in the percolation about 30 years.
Nice. And Mark's partner in crime, Peter, how are you, sir? Please introduce yourself.
I'm doing well. I am Peter Palmiotti. I've been inking comics for a little over 30 years. I've worked for Marvel, DC, Valiant, had a few books published through Image, and mostly you can find me on so many random independent comics out there, as well as Designated coming up soon.
Nice. There you go. All right, cool. So, guys, Designated. We'll start with Mark. This is your baby, right?
Correct.
Yes, this is your baby. So tell me about Designated. What are we looking at?
Designated is a 5-issue series. It's 110 pages. The first 22 is what we're doing the Kickstarter for, with the option to do more. If we have some miracle, a bag of money flies our way. It has been created. It was written about 30 years ago. It was drawn about 28 years ago. It was started to be inked about 20 years ago. And it's on Kickstarter as of 19 days ago.
Nice. Okay. Now with the writing, when you first produced that script, how many iterations did you go through before you ended up with the one that you felt was the one to go with?
So what happened is I started writing it and I stopped every time I hit a wall, and then I had to resolve that problem, because the whole story was based off of why this, why that. And every time I had a question of something that came across, I had to stop when I didn't have the answer and think about it and think about it and think about it. Mm-hmm. So realistically, it was just one overall thing. Once I went through it, then I went through and I changed, the couple of misspellings, a couple of dialogues, but essentially it was a one-shot, one-way through deal. We did at one point in time have an editor, and they just redlined a whole bunch of stuff. Right. And so the script with just the dialogue got changed, but the actual story hasn't changed at all since its inception when it was on paper. Like, my idea was different than what actually came out.
Okay. Now, here's one for you, Peter. Now, since you're inking, did you find yourself, I don't know what the pencils look like, but did you find yourself doing a lot of embellishing on this project, on these pencils?
Here and there, I always liked the term embellisher. That's an old term you find in like Marvel and DC comics, because it's exactly what an inker does for the most part. Like, I don't try to change the pencils. I'll do corrections here and there if necessary, but for the most part, I'm enhancing it. I'm embellishing. I like to punch it up if it needs it. I like to get nitty gritty with the detail if it needs it. It's all
What's up, Pops?
1,000 split-second decisions I make throughout the day as I'm working on pages.
All right, that's cool. Like you said, embellisher. Older term. I'm an older guy, so I resemble that remark. So it's okay. And just to say, God rest his soul, Tom Palmer, I believe.
Yes. I just heard about that.
Yeah, it just passed away. Yep, God rest his soul. I mean, I an incredible, inker, embellisher, so yeah. So it got me thinking about that. So, Mark, when you were writing the script, right? What were your hallmarks? Like, what were you looking at? You were like, okay, like, you know, what were your inspirations for the script or the story in general?
So at the time, it was a very anti-story because at the time, which was the 90s, everything was over the top. Everything was a mega this and super that and ultra, super, mega, whatever was going on at the time. So I thought to myself to do an anti-script, which makes it very small, very subdued, very intimate production. So think of it as if you're making a movie, you want to make a little tiny independent movie, self-contained, and trying to save as much money as possible. So you want to try to limit what you can do in the story to get it done in that little thing. So I went against type. Back then, there were hardly any female-led stories. You had Wonder Woman, you had Buffy, you had Xena, but there really wasn't much else out there that's like a major thing that I can think off the top of my head at any rate. So back then it was, let's have a female-led story. Because growing up in New York, I knew a whole lot of mixed ethnicities. So I was like, well, let me all have mixed ethnicities in the story. So I have black guy, 2 Asian guys, 2 white girls.
Okay.
Which, once again, that's something that wasn't done back then. It's more prevalent now, which is kind of weird how it just went that big old circle of how I am not anti anything. I'm now just one of the pack. But it was done back then. And then it was a matter of what did I want to do? So I wanted to give them powers or abilities. And how did I get the abilities? And then every question led to another question, which was why? So I wanted to make a story about these people who got powers, very small story. How did they get powers? Aliens was big in the 90s. That was, one of the things, if you remember, they had that Jonathan Frakes alien autopsy on Fox that, we found a real alien, we did the autopsy. That was a big thing. X-Files was big. So aliens was the big thing. So like, all right, aliens. So then the question was, how did the aliens get here? All right, so we're going to go that route of the classic green gray skin aliens. They were Roswell, New Mexico, 1940, whatever it was. And then the question is, well, what the hell took them so long between then and now? So I had to think of a reason, which it was that he had to acclimate himself and infiltrate the human race to become a neurosurgeon, to be able to perform the procedure to put the crystals in the humans. I'm like, okay, so now what about the bad guys? Why was he there that long ago? Because he was running away from some bad guys trying to hide these crystals all this time. Then it was, all right, so what the hell took the bad guys so long to get here? And so I was like, okay, so they have to be searching for the good guys, and they have to be able to have a means to track them, but the tracking system can't be perfect. So it resonates the frequency of one of the crystals that they have to try and track it, and they have false positives, and it leads them to different places around the earth. And in the story, they unveil a red diamond, which has a similar frequency, which led the bad guys to Earth. And then it was, okay, so now that they're on Earth, what happens? And that's how the story kind of just evolved from there. What happens? Why?
All right, cool. Now, Peter, what does Mark have hanging over your head that he got you to ink this title? What does he have on you?
Well, I mean, it was one of those projects that doesn't happen overnight. That we started on back when, and I was the inker on it, and then I wasn't the inker on it, and it went through so many changes and things. But recently, it came up again, and I was like, I do want to finish this. I do want to see it through. It's I've done so many miscellaneous projects and so many just pieces of issues, and it's like I'm always happy to work. I'm always thrilled to be working and thrilled with a lot of what's tossed my way. But I do want to, I'm getting a little older. I do want to have like complete works of something. And this is a complete project. It's 5 issues, and I just want to ink the whole thing and see it as a complete package, and it would be awesome.
All right, cool. You know, it's funny. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine, Matt Lunsford, who I've done a lot of work with in the past. Right, we did La Blue Girl, Tenchi Muyu. We did a bunch of stuff. We did Dream Weavers back in the day. We did a bunch of work. He's pretty much been out of the game for the last 20 years, and I was talking to him because I wanted to bring back some projects, and he had told me, he said, he confided in me. He said, listen, he said, you know, and of course he confided in me, so I'm gonna share it with the world. But I don't, it's not really a state secret. He says he regretted the fact that he hasn't done as much work in the industry, or and he was like, you know, he wants to do more. And I was like, well, there's only one way to do it. You got to start working, bro. Right. So we're getting together. So since you're bringing it up here, I mean, you know, how important is that to you? I mean, and to you as well, Mark. How important is that to you to complete projects, see them in a bound book, put on the shelf? I mean, how important is that to you? It's
more important now. I mean, this is why I'm moving slowly. I see it as, you know, like a bus driver. Like I'm making that turn, and it's going to take me a while, but I got my own creation, which is retro, and a bunch of other things in the works, where, you know, it's going to be an ongoing series or one shots or graphic novels. Like, you know, I want to be known for specific things. And, you know, so far in my career, I'm mostly known for Aquaman, which I don't have a problem with that. I love that. But other than that, it's like I'm all over the place. My career has been all over the place. And it's like little bits of things here and there and whatever. And it's, you know, it's fine. It's like it's always a growth as an artist, to be working on different pencilers and working on different books and different challenges along the way. But yeah, I want to be doing more finished works. And there's Wilson Ramos in the chat. Hello. It's my old buddy.
We'll pull them all up.
Yeah.
Hey, Grant. Hey, Pops.
Pops is here. What's up, Grant? Yep. How you doing, Grant? Charles.
Wilson.
Hey, Wilson.
Carlos.
Hey, Carlos.
John.
Hey, John.
So yeah.
Welcome all.
Exactly. So Mark, how's it feel for you, man? I mean, how important is it for you to complete this project?
This particular project is extremely important the longer it takes to get it done. I do want to jump quick backwards for a minute. I knew Pete from the Century trade paperback, because he was like, I worked on Century, and I was based on Forceworks, and I was reading Forceworks at the time. I was like, oh, that was you? That was I wasn't a DC fan, so it was my Marvel stuff. I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of awesome. But it's weird because I was we've been doing a lot of streams, and I was asked this, and the thought occurred to me that if this had came out back then, I don't think I would be so invested in it as I am now. But because it took almost 30 years to get to this point, it's not even finished yet. We're at the point where, you know, I think we can finish it. I believe we can, if we have a couple of small things, small little pieces now, as opposed to the large hurdles I had to overcome. So just, it is my baby. And it's weird because originally it was intended as something I was willing to give up. It was intended as something to get my foot in the door and to lose creator ownership of. But now it's extremely important to get this done, especially at this time.
Now, when you say especially at this time, because I have my own reasons for saying, like, I produce a lot of Kickstarters, right? Like, I mean, man, if I could do 8 a year, if I could do 10 a year, I would. You know, I just would. I have that much content to release, but it's like, you know, as you get older, I know for myself, you know, probably about 3 years ago, you know, I had this disconnect from reality, right? I had, you know, this cognitive just break, right? And it was just like, I realized, and I think everybody goes through this at some point in their lives, that you have less time ahead of you than you have behind you. right? So you got more time behind you than you got ahead of you. Time clock is ticking. So we got to get this stuff done, right? I mean, how are you gentlemen dealing with that in your career?
Mark?
Oh, I thought you were going to go first, Pete.
I'll let you go.
All right. So my mom died in 1999, and she had a sewing business. It never really took off, but she did her job. She made a couple bucks, and she was well known. She always got recommendations. It was a word of mouth type of thing, but she really wanted it to be bigger than it was. She never really hinted at it, but you could tell that she wanted to do it. And back then, you're a stupid kid. You don't know anything about that sort of thing. But then you get to a point where like, wow, this is what she was at this age. This is what she was thinking of. You don't realize that sort of thing. So when she died, before she died, I would say, because she did when she died. It'd be an incredible story. She was on her deathbed, and we had all the family and friends around the deathbed in the hospital. And she said, "I have no regrets," and that stuck with me. And at the time, I was trying to get the book out, and this was 1999, so it was before I met Peter, and we were just trying to get the book finished drawing. I don't know if it was actually finished drawing or whatever, but we were around that stage. So back then, it was like, do I want to be in a position where I'm going to have this regret? And that thought keeps on coming back every year or so, every couple of years, and then it starts coming back every month or so, or every couple of days or so as time moves forward. Because one of the things about this project, which I find is probably different than a lot of other people's projects that's been sitting for a while, is that we have most of it done. The pencils were already done. The story was already done. So just having it is almost there. And then, like, should I throw it out? Is it worth it? Is it not? Is it any good? So I'm like, I went back when we were going to do the Kickstarter, and we were going to do it through a publisher, and we separated ways amicably for the Kickstarter. So it became a question of, can I do it myself? And I had to go back and read the story because I hadn't read it in a while, and I had to look over it, and like, it still holds up. So that actually made me feel good that it actually holds up. The artwork still holds up after all this time. It doesn't look like it was drawn back then. It looks like it was drawn now. The pages themselves are in really good condition. Another stream, they're like, is there any yellowing? No, not really. So they're actually really well-preserved pages. The artwork is really top. It stands the test of time. There are anatomy issues because it was just a kid who offered to draw it. And he drew 110 pages over the course of like 2 years.
Wow.
So his artwork improved, and he never did anything before that. So this was like his first time, but the sequentials were on point. And then Pete ties it all together with the inks. So I don't want to be in this point where I'm on my deathbed and this thing never comes out. Like, this is going to be one of my biggest regrets in my life. Do I want to have that? And I think I've mentioned it to you many a times that the one thing that all creators have in common, no matter how of their skill level, of the professionalism, of their business savvy knowledge, is the need to create. So I need to get this puppy out, and just I don't want to wind up. I'm gonna do it or die trying. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah. I've talked about this on my own channel because I'm pretty honest on my own channel, not necessarily on our, stream tour, but I had a very close friend of mine pass away on the 1st, and it's been a rough month. But she was a really big supporter of mine, really good friend of mine, and like I always joked with her, like, I'm probably going to live to I'm 120. So I'm a year away from my midlife crisis.
Nice.
And I've been pushing more in the last couple of years, like definitely the pandemic has shifted things a bit in a good way, as I see it. There's a lot more people on YouTube. There's a lot more people crowdfunding. I'm more focused on getting a lot of past projects to completion, and Designated being one of them. If it's worth pushing out into existence, I want to be on top of it right now. It's like, there's no messing around. I'm no longer, 20 something just drifting around.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see these projects through and with quality and with precision. And yeah, I mean, we're doing this crazy stream tour, like where we've done just over 20 streams and we got a couple more to go, because we really believe in this project, and really want to get as many backers as possible. But it's like, regardless of what the future holds, this book is going to make it out there one way or another. And I want to be a part of the team that does that.
All right, cool. Now, Mark, you were saying the penciling for the entire series is done.
Correct. All 110 pages, and he actually did more than 110. So he drew the 110, and as he got better over the years, I think it took like 2 years, 2 to 3 years to do it. When he finished 110, I was like, "Hey, can you go back and redraw a couple of earlier pages?" And he did. So he actually probably did more than 110. I would say 120, 130 pages in total of his work. And so some of the pages in the first 22 is actually a mixture of him at year 1 and year 5, or however long it took him to do it.
Right. Oh, that's cool. Well, Wilson says, agree, we have to be our cheerleaders of our own stuff. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Peter.
I was going to say, so as it stands, it's fully scripted, fully penciled. The first issue is fully inked. I got pages from issue 2 and 3 inked, and probably a couple of random pages outside of that. But I'm going to shift going forward and get issue 2 done first, and then move on from that. But yeah, the lettering for the first issue is almost done. It's really like, once we're funded, Mark gets money in hand, the coloring is going to get done, printing, then shipping, and we got a book.
Yes. No, that's cool. So, I mean, the coloring, is it an ongoing process, or do you have to wait to get funded? I mean, how's that going?
The coloring, I have to wait to get funded as of right now.
Okay.
Because I don't like having people work for free. I really don't. So I always try to get them compensated in some way, shape, or form. And that was one of the higher expenses.
Right.
But we worked the deal out so I can get a couple of things in advance in hopes of getting funded to help get it funded. And then they'll get paid for the rest.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that's completely understandable. Trust me, I'm doing a color book now. And I literally have my guy, I'm like sending him 1 page a week. So I'm like, you got 1 page, buddy. This sucker will be done in 24 weeks. No problem. Look, I tell people, it's like sometimes that's how you have to do it, But
yeah, it's a lot to put out money for every little thing, So yeah, I can understand.
Yeah. I mean, my thought is what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to put together a campaign, put out what is that, the sign-up sheet, right? And then when I have all 24 pages, then I'll launch it. Yeah. And then we'll go back.
Yeah.
We'll see. People say things like that about me all the time, and I don't believe them. It never works out.
We did a sign-up sheet, for our campaign, which is really the first time I've been involved with that, because it's like, I've seen other people do it, and it's a recent feature on Kickstarter, from what I believe. And yeah, our experience wasn't great with it. It's like, hey, we got a project, sign up, follow it or whatever, hit the button. And it was tough. Tough to get people motivated to just sign up for it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I've had debates over this with people. Is like, so because my thing is like, so you want me to do a 30-day pre-campaign for signups, and then I got to do a 30-day campaign for the campaign.
All right.
how about we just do a 60-day campaign where it's all live and they could just sign up, they could just buy stuff then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thought process, but I'm crazy. So, what do I know?
But part of the other thing is that I've learned that I think we discussed it on your show about how the Kickstarter doesn't make it easy because you have to sign up for Kickstarter to use Kickstarter. Whereas if you did a GoFundMe page, anybody can go on GoFundMe right now and hit that button and money goes right through. So that's an issue because a lot of my friends and family of people who I've known for many years are like, when's your book coming out? It's like, oh, you got to go here. It's like, great. What do you mean I have to wait? What do you mean I have to sign up? Why can't I just give you the money for the book?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, this is learning experience.
Yeah. I mean, if everything goes well, what you might want to do is sign up, do a IGG, and go for one of their store, and then people could just go in there and just buy it at the end. That might be easier for you.
But they still have to sign up for IGG, right?
Huh?
They still have to sign up for Indiegogo, or no? They can just boop.
Yeah, they would have to sign up for Indiegogo, or you could just open a store on your website.
We'll just have a GoFundMe as well.
There you go. There you go. You just do that as well. All right. So, I mean, so how's it been going? How many? I mean, because you've done a bunch of shows. Obviously, you're doing this one. How many of these things you've done so far?
Over 20. We've done over 20, including this one, in 19 days.
Wow. You guys are dedicated. I appreciate that. Because, I mean, let me tell you, man. I hold a campaign if I do 2. I mean, I think the most I've ever done is 5, maybe 6. Because I just, day job and, just everything else. It's like, look, I like to watch TV and I like to consume media. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, yo, is the show like 20 minutes? Can I just pitch and go? It's rough.
It is. It's a lot, but this is something that I'm committing to. This isn't just about Designated. This is for everything else that's going to follow. Mark's got other ideas. Mark wants to do other books. I definitely have other books down the line. So it's people getting to know us now, and hopefully they'll come back and see us on other projects.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. I mean, that's the one good thing about doing this sort of thing. It's like, people get to know you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. It says you got 10 days ago. You raised $38.80 out of $61.28. Now, Mark, why the odd number? I've asked you this question before, and I just feel it's only right that I put you on the spot yet again.
So the reason is I had, as people who may not know, who are watching the show or listening to the show right now, I had an extensive conversation with JD about Kickstarter, and I've had many talks with other people who've done Kickstarters. But JD was nice enough to let me record that conversation, and I listened to that conversation multiple times. And one of the things that was hit home, especially with JD, was do not underestimate the fees for Kickstarter. Do not underestimate the printing. Do not underestimate the shipping and packing. Do not underestimate all this stuff. So I took the numbers of what I thought I was going to make, plus the other costs of making the book, and it came up to about that number. And then I went through, everybody said, oh, check other people's projects, look at other people's Kickstarters, see what they're doing. And I see most of them were kind of even numbers. And I found out you can do whatever number you want. And I was like, well, in retail, because I worked retail for 20 years, I worked for Blockbuster for 10, worked in a movie theater for 10, the odd number will stick out. So it creates a conversation. It creates a thought as opposed to, another, you're scrolling through 62, 61, 62, 61, 28. It'll at least get some people to stop and take at least a second look at it. And that was why. So it's actually just about what we need. And because it's odd, it catches the eye.
Okay.
And the 28 cents goes to me. So
there you go. All right, I won't beat you up on it no more. All right, cool. I mean, we've been through this before on the Sunday show. So you know what? I'm not going to go through the campaign, but I'm going to go through your what people can pledge for. How's that sound?
Sure, you do what you want.
All right, cool. Well, you know, it's your project, man. I want you to feel comfortable.
I'll talk about anything about this book.
All right. So let's start with your special honor. Thank you. What's that about?
So that is a happy accident. One thing that Mr. Calderon did not tell me, nor anybody else, is that if you look on Kickstarter, it has the pledge without a reward option. I thought that was something that you did yourself, that Kickstarter did not do. So I thought that was kind of sucky to have that. Because I'm like, we should have something for everybody. So I was like, I'll throw him $1. He throws $1, you get something just to support us. So once I did that, and it came up anyway, I realized that the Kickstarter does it, not me. So that's how that came out. I have a radio show, came from the radio. We have a Patreon page, and one of the things we offer for our Patreon, for $1 a month, you get a shout out on our show. And then I was like, I'll extend it to anybody on the Kickstarter. So that's how that $1 came into play.
Cool. Now, what's that digital version Francesco cover?
Yes. So that's just a PDF. You get the comic book, 22 pages, and it has a Babe artist. Francesco is the artist on the cover. The image that we have in the campaign is a kind of sort of what it's supposed to look like, but Francesco said to me that he wanted to tweak it a little bit for this project. So I don't know what that means. So I don't know what he's going to do, but that's going to kind of sort of look like that. And I also want to mention that that image, if you want to scroll up, that one right there, is the only image that Francesco had somebody else ink, because Francesco only does digital inking. And at the time, and he still only does digital pencils. And Pete is the only time he ever had anybody else ink over him. So this is a one-of-a-kind Pete Palmiotti exclusive for Francesco, which I thought was kind of cool.
Nice. All right, cool. What's this, physical and digital?
Yep. So you get the physical, digital, $15. You get the regular book, and then you get the PDF sent out. Also, there's been a debate as to whether you should wait for the book to come out or for the digital. Like, you get the digital first. That way, you'll have something, and you'll know that the physical book is on its way.
Cool.
Then we got the trading card. We're actually, Pete, you're doing the thing tonight, right?
Yeah, well, I'm going to start on my card tonight. So designing it, laying it out. I got the young Chinese boy.
So the idea is to do one. The idea was to actually have one trading card, and that actually came up from a conversation from people I know. An inker approached me, Alex Rivera. He's like, "Hey, I heard you're doing a Kickstarter project. I want to be part of it." And I was like, "Well, the book's already done. There's nothing else to do." He's like, "Anything you got? I want to do something." And I was like, "I guess we could do a trading card." So I got Brian Kong to do the pencils, and Alex did the inks, and we got Hassan to color it, and then Abby did the trade dress, the design of the trading card. And people was like, "Hey, we should do more trading cards." So we're gonna have one trading card for each. The only one that's up there right now is Natasha, but we're gonna have the rest of the 4. And it'll be included in that $20. So you get all the trading cards, all 5 characters, plus the book, digital and physical.
Yep.
All right, cool. Did you just add this, or was that on there from the beginning?
It was always there from the beginning, but the other cards haven't been added yet.
Gotcha. Okay. I might have to adjust my pledge.
Cool.
I like my trading cards. You got some original artwork available? What's up with that?
120, yeah, original artwork. As I mentioned, all the pages were drawn way back when. Pete had them in his hand, and he physically inked on over them. So we have pages that I'm tired of having for all this time. So let's get rid of them. Let's make a couple of bucks for Pete, because it's his work. So you get it signed by Pete, and it's randomly inserted of the 23 pages we have for issue 1. If we manage to do issue 2, then you'll get randomly inserted from issue 2 as well.
Cool.
Then we get the crazy items, because I've been told you have to try to think outside the box, have other ideas. And a clay maker who I've known for a couple of years on the show, he was like, "I want to be part of the project." I was like, "All right, so what do you want to do?" He's like, "I will make you some clay figurine statues." So For $220, you get a figurine of this quality of such. So you have it is it's not painted. It's actually made out of clay. It's baked. You can see it in my hand. I'm holding it up. You can see the details. You can see the details on it. It came in this plastic container, so it came all that. It doesn't fade or anything like that because it's made out of the clay, and all the clay parts are of that color, so there's no fading involved. This is a 5-inch figurine of my character Sunburst, which is my first published character ever, which is awesome. And she's also the mascot for my radio show. So you get one of these of the characters from the book, the main characters, or the evil, the heroes, the main humans, or the evil alien. You're choosing. The alien is a little bigger, so it's 6 inches. So that's why it's 5 or 6 inches. I also get the physical copy of the book and the digital copy of the book. And to quote Shadow Rabbit, and his link is in there, so you can check out more of his work. He says he'll do any position, so it's custom made, custom design, any position, any pose you want, he will do as long as you pay for it.
Cool.
And then we go for the big one, because they always say to add something crazy. So he said that he would do a full-on battle scene of all the main characters in a giant diorama, or you can get a 12-inch figurine as opposed to the 5 or 6 inch. Well, along with the comic, both physical and digital.
Cool. You got some add-ons.
Yep, the 2 trading cards. So we have, like I said, the Natasha trading card, Brian Kong art, Alex Rivera inked, Hassan Godwin colors, Abby Gabato designed that. And then we have, like I said, my character, which was actually published. So you have I had some trading cards left over for her. I was like, hey, why not? Why not throw that in there? Because she exists. She's part of my brand. So I will throw that in there as well.
Cool.
Then that is the stretch goal. One of the things I was told is that, hey, do some comic swaps. People will be help promote the book. It creates a good connection between other indie creators, and our show is all about the indie creators, so why not? So I got 6 different books you get. If we reach our goal, you automatically get a PDF of 6 different comic books from 6 different indie creators. Actually, it's 4 different indie creators, because I think you did 2 of them, and a total of 202 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And all the links all the books are down below. And if by some miracle we made this the first stretch goal, then we will add a second stretch goal, which is issue 2. So we have the ability to do issue 2, issue 3, issue 4, and issue 5 if a big bag of money comes flying our way.
Gotcha. These are the creators.
Those are the creators.
Mm-hmm. Cool. It was good.
I want to give a special shout out to our graphic designer, Abby Gabato. Without her, none of this would have been possible. She designed the entire page, did a really bang up job on small things that I didn't even think I needed. She did an amazing, amazing job. And that is my go-to person. She's a teacher and a interior designer by trade, but she does graphic design as a side thing. So she did a great job.
All right, cool, nice. All right, that's cool. And then Peter, you were mentioning there's 3 days left on another project, right?
Yes. So I have. What's that?
No, go ahead. Start talking about it.
Yeah, I have a story in an anthology. It's called Wildcat Anthology. CB Smallwood is the creator of Wildcat, and he tried to fund a single first issue. That didn't go over, and he was going to reboot it. But it was like me, him, and some other people were hanging out, and anthology came up, and everybody was like, oh, if you're doing an anthology, I'll do a story. And so that's what happened. We all jumped in and decided we were going to work on stories, and there's 6 different indie creator teams, and then CB himself does a majority of the book. It's like 80 pages altogether, I think 50 pages maybe by indie creators, and then the rest by CB or something like that. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of artwork. If you just scroll down, you can see there's a lot of fun stuff. It's a fun, wacky 90s inspired character. You know, he's got like a rock arm and cyber eyeball and, you know, talons and just mad muscular and always getting into situations and whatnot. And the funny thing is, like, everybody that did a story sort of created their own genre. And so outside of where Wildcat would normally be, but it's explained by CB in, you know, his in-between stories, and much like the Heavy Metal movie, animated movie, where Green Ball goes in and out of stories and stuff. And it's 80-page black and white book, 3 days left. If you like what you see, there's a lot of good stuff to see. Give it a pledge, give it a share, all that jazz. It's been going for, you know, an extended 60-day campaign, so it's going to be wrapping up soon. So either Sunday or Monday, it probably says. But we had a lot of fun doing it, and he's still working on it. He's still working on it. As the campaign's going, he's still working on it.
Well, that's good. I mean, no, it looks like a lot of fun. Like, you know, you guys had a lot of fun with it. That's really nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. Well, you know, hopefully, I'm sure you've already funded, so, you know.
Yeah, we already funded, so it's just a matter of waiting for the clock to finish.
But if you get, what is it, 6,000, the book will be in color, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if so, you know,
hey, it's got two that you
Elon
never
Musk
know.
drops bills on it.
I'm just saying, you never know what's going to happen, either good
That's
or bad.
true.
You never know, so there is that possibility.
Especially the last couple of days. I mean, that's when you see a boost of interest and people, you know, dropping money, sharing it more, all that. So, yeah, you know, I wouldn't say no to, you know.
Yep. Hopefully, well, like I said, hopefully it gets to 6,000. Listen, I'm more concerned with you guys, your project. He made his. You guys got to make yours. That's all I know. So everybody, please pledge, help the guys out. You know, get this book made. I want my copy. So
share it out.
Yes, share it out. Now, we've been at this for a minute. You know, so we're almost done, but we're not done just yet. I got a bunch of goofy questions I got to ask you guys first. Before we do that, Mr. Mark, please let everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
So always make it easy. You just Google It Came From the Radio. We're usually on the first page, probably like 2 or 3 things down. You can find me on www.itcamefromtheradio.com. If you happen to live in Westchester County, New York, you can hear us on the radio at 88.1 FM WARY Monday through Thursdays overnight. I don't know what time, because he says multiple times at night is what the station engineer tells me. And since I don't live up there, I have no idea when he places. But that's what he tells me, so that's what I'm going with. We're on a couple online radio stations, but we're also on over 40 different podcast places. So if you have a podcast thing, just type it in, Came From the Radio, and we'll pop up. Name a podcast place, and I'll tell you, we're probably on it. So that's how you find us. Oh, yeah, Twitter and the Facebook, we are also on as well. It Came From the Radio, ICFTR. And, I always forget to mention that the second Wednesday of every month, courtesy of the East Middle Public Library in East Middle, Long Island, we have a live show. And because of the pandemic, we are doing it virtually, so you can sign up to be part of the virtual audience. Audience is always welcome, so that way it helps me keep on getting employed by the library. Our next show will be on the 14th of September, and we have JP of the Long Island Comic Book Fest as a guest. He's an old school comic book guy. He really wants to just have a comic book convention about comic books. So he's going to be our next guest. Go to www.eastmetal.info, and on the calendar you can find us there.
Nice.
All right, cool. Peter, where can they find you and your work, sir?
I am mostly on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can find me all those places and more with just my name, Peter Palmiotti. Since I'm the only Peter Palmiotti in the comic industry, and I got a lawyer to guarantee that.
All right. I didn't know it was that contentious. You know,
You'd be surprised.
fine, I guess so. All right, fine. All right, now, gentlemen, so let's get down to these goofy questions. So I think Mark's already been through this, but and I'm gonna change a little bit up for you, Peter. So we'll see how this goes.
All
So,
right.
Mark, for you, I had asked you, I know in the past, if you had your druthers, who would you get to illustrate a cover for you, right? Now, we already had the number one choice. I don't want to know your number one. We already went through that guy.
I don't remember that one. I would hope it's my same pick I would pick right now.
I want to hear who's your number three pick.
If I had the ability to get anybody right now,
No, living or dead. Don't worry about budget.
I'll go with Al Rio.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I really liked his stuff. It was very sad that he committed suicide. I was a big fan of his.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair enough. All right, cool. Now, Peter,
Yes.
if you had the choice of any illustrator, living or dead, whose cover you could ink, who would you pick? Who's the one person you've ever inked that you really want to ink?
Oh man. I mean, it's like once I knew I was going to be an anchor and entering the industry,
Mm-hmm.
like my biggest influence was Bernie Wrightson, his work. But also, I mean, there were like a dozen probably, but P. Craig Russell, freaking love his work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody inked him besides himself. Nothing comes to mind. I think he always just worked by himself. Love his work, love his style, just does awesome work.
But he's an inker as well, isn't he?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I remember him saying a story where it's like he would ink a story for Marvel or DC, and then he would take that money and then live off of it so he could do his own project.
Right. Yeah.
And then for like half a year, then he would come back and he'd be like, "Give me another job."
Yeah. I know him from Marvel in the 70s from Kill Raven. I don't know if you guys remember Kill Raven, but that was like a War of the Worlds comic. Really, really good stuff. Good lines. Love his work.
It's funny. I know Kill Raven from Alan Davis.
Okay.
They're a little bit more modern. So
right. Yeah.
I know P. Craig Russell from the Neil Gaiman stuff he's done over at Dark Horse, primarily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and his opera.
Yeah,
his opera books.
Yeah.
Those are incredible. Love them. All right. So now, gentlemen, Mark, well, we'll start with Peter on this one. Peter, if you were given your choice, right, and you got called up to the big companies, they gave you the golden ticket, they said, Peter, pick any IP to work on. Doesn't matter, Marvel, DC, Image, doesn't matter. What's the IP you'd want to work
on? I mean, there's so many choices. Like, okay, so like as far as favorite characters of the big two, like with DC, it's Superman. With Marvel, it's Iron Man. I mean, there's so many conflicting heroes and stuff, but I would say I would really just want to sink my teeth into Daredevil because he's been done so right and he's been done so wrong, and I lost track of what they're doing to him now, but I'm pretty sure they're probably off track.
No, they said the guy who's working on it currently is actually doing a good job. So I don't know. I
haven't read it in years.
Yeah, I haven't, what's funny is I'm reading a Daredevil book now, but it's Ed Brubaker's Daredevil.
Oh, okay.
So that's like what, 2006, 2007, something like that probably. So it's way back there. All right, Mark, you're up.
That is a super easy one.
Okay.
Because I've told you this story before, and I've mentioned this probably on this show. I've mentioned it countless, at least a couple times on the streams. But if I had the option, I would really want to pick up the comic that Pete Brian Kong and myself almost got to do for Marvel Comics,
Right.
which was the continuation of, I forgot the name of the book. I don't even remember the name we came up with.
Was it Young Avengers?
No, that was already taken. It was something different that's never been used.
But it was something similar, maybe?
Something similar, maybe. I would have to look it up. No, the Secret Warriors. That might have been it. The Secret Warriors. Yeah. I think that's the name we came up with. So basically, it was What If, the second series, the final issue. I think it was issue number 25 or 31. I don't remember the number. I should remember it. But it was what if the Marvel superheroes had stayed on the Beyond the World in Secret Wars. And they had kids. And then the kids in that issue came back to Earth afterwards, and the world was overrun with Sentinels. And that's how it left with a cliffhanger. And Pete had came to me many years ago. And I was like, hey, they're looking for, let's try to present a pitch as a team. So I took that book. I read it over and over and over again to get really familiar with the characters, because I think it was Rogue and Captain America's kid. Enchantress had a kid with Doctor Doom. It was like a fly. The Wasp had a kid, and it was like I think it was Wasp and Storm or something like that. I don't remember the combinations, but it was like all the kids. What superhero combinations you would have. Right. And it worked out really, really good. I think one name was Balder. I think that was one of the names that popped in my head at the time. So I really got familiar with them. I really gave them a voice of their own. It was probably the only other project I worked really hard on, like Designated. I worked really hard on, and I made it my own. This I worked just as hard for the 22 pages I did for that story. And Brian Kong actually drew about 6 of those pages, and Pete inked it. Yeah. And just seeing it was probably the best collaboration I've ever experienced. Like, from what I wrote to what I saw was not only exactly what I had envisioned, but it was the next level. So it wasn't like, oh, it's kind of sort of what it looks like. I had to give suggestions. It was exactly what I saw, but better. I can't even say how proud I was to see that. And then we go to Marvel, and they go, oh, yeah, we're going to be doing something else with Secret Wars, so you can't do that. What else you got? And I got nothing. So I really would like to pick that story back up if I had the option.
That makes sense.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, nice. All right, now I got a few comparatives. Mark's already been through a few of these. We'll start with you, Peter. We'll start with Captain America or Batman.
I like Batman. I like Cap. I'll go with Cap because everybody picks Batman.
Okay. And some of these will come with why. So here we go. Dave Stevens or Adam Hughes? That's for you, Mark.
Oh, I love Adam Hughes. I loved his Ghost.
Yeah.
I've met him a couple of times at conventions. A really cool guy, and I love that Ghost work, and I loved his other stuff. And I'll never forget when I was like, hey, because he was doing Ghost for Dark Horse, and then he stopped doing Ghost. Right. But based on all the interviews, he was really into Ghost. He was like, this is a really passionate project, and blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, it really showed that he really put his all into it. And I ran to a convention. And I was like, hey, how come you're not doing Ghost anymore? He goes, yeah, I just messed up, missed my deadlines, and that was it. I was like, oh, I feel sorry for you, man. So I would go with Adam Hughes.
All right, cool. Peter, Walking Dead or Dawn of the Dead?
Walking Dead.
Okay,
yep.
Fair enough. Mark, Avengers or Justice League?
Marvel guy, gotta go to Avengers.
Okay. Peter, Zeus or Odin?
Zeus or Odin? Odin, of course.
Fair enough. Let's see. Mark, Kirk or Picard?
It's interesting you say that. Because I went to a convention that had William Shatner and Sir Patrick Stewart. They were together, but not on stage at the same time, if I remember correctly. They might have been, I don't remember, but they were there. And somebody asked Picard, probably what they asked Picard, who would win the fight? And he said, well, this is what would happen. They're going to fight. And Kirk would go, okay, I'm going to hit you on the count of 3. 1, 2, and then he would hit you. But Picard would go, I'm going to hit you on the count of 3. 1, 2, I'm warning you. 3, 4, I'm going to hit you. I'm going to hit you. 5, 6, and that's how the fight would go. So with that in mind, I'm going to have to go with Picard, Picard show.
Okay.
I like that show.
Fair enough. Peter, Eisner or Toth?
Eisner. I freaking love the spirit and everything Eisner's done.
Okay. All right. Cool. Fair enough. Here's one for you. I don't know. I might have asked you this question. I don't remember, Mark. But here we go. Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers?
I like Jason because there was the one where he fought the psychic, and then which one was it that he was in the cornfield? Probably was Jason versus Freddy, when they actually showed what Jason can do in a crowded area. He was just slaughtering everybody left and right, and it made sense at the time. Michael Myers has always been kind of a wishy-washy kind of thing because it depends who's writing it, depends what kind of abilities and powers. Is he an actual person? Is he embodiment of evil? Is he some dude? I don't know. I'll go with Jason.
I like that Goldfinger movie he was in.
Which one?
Goldfinger was he in?
That's Mike Myers, the actor.
Oh. You know, I should have caught that, but I did not.
All right. Peter, Comic-Cons or crowdfunding?
Crowdfunding.
Okay.
Comic-Cons are insanely busy and stinky and hot and.
Cool. Here we go, Mark. Because I know you're a movie guy. Pinhead or Freddy Krueger?
Freddy Krueger. I never was a fan of the Hellraiser series, and when I say Freddy Krueger, I mean Robert Englund Freddy Krueger. Not Jackie Earle Haley when they remade it, because he embodies that character so much. And then when he went on to do the Freddy's Nightmares, I used to watch that religiously. At nighttime. Like he was just such that character.
Okay, fair enough. Peter, Paul Levitz or Jim Shooter?
Jim Shooter, yeah. It's funny. I love Jim Shooter back in the day when he was just writing like the Avengers. When he was writing Avengers. When I was working at Valiant, Jim Shooter wasn't there. But briefly, while I was working at Valiant, I worked at night at Defiant, his other company.
Right.
And he was there. Like I saw him working there. So, I'm fully behind anything he's up to.
All right, cool. Now here's well, it shouldn't be that obscure for you guys, because we're old. Here's one for you, Mark. Mork and Mindy or Alf?
I was an Alf fan. I was not a fan of Mork and Mindy. I wasn't a fan of Robin Williams until Popeye came out.
See, I told you we're old.
That was a good movie.
I saw it in the theaters.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, me too. Jesus. Anyway.
Did you know that the town still exists and it's a tourist attraction?
Oh, really? That's cool.
Because they made it in that country for such and such a money, and they left it there so the people who live there turned it into a tourist attraction, and basically it's all that stuff is in the movie is still out there. It's crazy.
Nice. All right. Here's an unfair question for you, Peter. But I'm gonna ask it anyway. Kirby or Buscema?
Kirby. I mean, they're both great. They're both legends. Kirby a little more so.
All right. Fair enough. We've done a few of these, so I'm gonna ask you a couple more, and then we'll wrap this sucker up. Here you go, Mark. Claremont or Wolfman?
Ooh.
Actually, Mark Wolfman did. If I'm not mistaken, he did Batman: The Outsiders, right? I believe.
I think so.
Yeah,
believe so. I know him primarily from Teen Titans.
I believe he did that. So I was a fan of Batman and the Outsiders. That's what actually got me into the comic book Batman. So I was going to go with Marv Wolfman.
Okay, fair enough. Right.
I got to meet Marv. Nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Him and Len Wen were hanging out at DC one day.
Nice. Here we go. Peter, Frank Miller or Alan Moore?
Frank Miller.
Why?
Why? I mean, because Frank is the whole package. Alan just writes. Yeah.
Okay, you know what? That's fair enough. I've never heard it. I choose Frank Miller too, but I have my own reasons. It's because as of probably the last 20 years, I find Alan Moore's stuff to be interesting. You know, whereas Frank Miller's stuff is entertaining. Where, you know, like Alan Moore's stuff, it's interesting. You know, it's just like, oh, that's interesting, but it's not really entertaining. It doesn't really, you know. And that goes. I've tried to read his prose stuff. It's just like I start to fall asleep. I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, I read Watchmen, but only the comic pages.
Gotcha. No, I mean, I read his earlier stuff: Swamp Thing, Watchmen, Miracle Man. Love him. I've read them, reread them, and I keep rereading. Incredible. Promethea, love. But it's like his later stuff, the stuff he did on H.P. Lovecraft or Avatar. That stuff is just like that stuff puts me to sleep. I was just, you know. But I mean, like I said, interesting. But it's just like it for me. I find it to be a slog. Let's see.
Wilson
says Marv Wolfman and Mike Barr.
Mike W. Barr. I remember the Mike W. Barr part. I always remember that. But yeah, Batman the Outsiders. Yeah, I love Geoforce. And then they had the Teen Titan Batman the Outsiders crossover, and then there was the issue where Geoforce fought Superman. And at the time, I was bigger on Geoforce than Superman, and Superman kicked the crap out of him. I was like, well, that's not fair. I was like, yeah, Superman. Like, oh, yeah, you got a point.
All right, cool. All right, here's one for you. Rocket Raccoon or Gnort? That's for you, Mark.
All right, what was the second one?
Gnort. That's the furry Green Lantern.
Oh.
That's the Green Lantern that looks like a dog.
See, I didn't even know that. So obviously, I'm gonna have to go with Rocket Raccoon.
All right.
I thought you were talking about the Noid from Domino's.
No. It's Gnort or Nort. I don't know. But I'm gonna ask you both this question. All right. Comic year 1986 or 1991? Peter.
91. That's when I started in the industry.
Okay, that's fair. Very selfish, but fair. But okay.
I'm selfish person.
That's fine. Mark, what do you think?
91. I was going to graduate from. I was a year before graduating from high school, so that means that Peter David was doing the Hulk, and that was my favorite run of the Hulk. So I'll have to go with 91.
Okay, all right. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. That's fine. You guys do know what happened in '86, though, right?
Crisis of Infinite Earths, right?
No. Watchmen. No. Watchmen, Dark Knight, John Byrne's year on Superman.
Yeah, some stuff.
Never read that Superman John Byrne stuff. Once again, I was a Marvel guy. I didn't read Watchmen until years later.
Okay.
I think I read it before the movie came out. Like I heard the movie was coming out, so I'm going to read the comic.
I think when I made Trade, I read it for the first time. Yeah.
All right, fair enough, gentlemen. This was awesome. Thank you so much. Now, before we go, please one more time, Mark, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Easiest way to find me is Google. It Came From the Radio. Just type it in. We're usually on the first page, probably 1 or 2, 3 down. It's www.itcamefromradio.com. We're a weekly syndicated radio show. New shows are uploaded every Monday. We're on an actual radio station, terrestrial radio station. If you live in Westchester County, New York, it's 88.1 FM, WARY. Weeknights after Monday through Friday. I think he said after 11 o'clock. On online radio stations, and we're also on 40 different podcast places. And we also have our live show, courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library, and that's www.eastmeadow.info.
There you go.
Peter, You, sir.
I am Peter Palmiotti. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and especially YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, watch 1,000 of the videos over there. Okay, it's just under 800. And yeah, hopefully you'll find some really good stuff there. And it's definitely, I had on tons of people as well as my own antics and whatnot. But before we close out, JD,
Yes.
you know, I'm originally from New York.
Yes.
Do you remember meeting me way back when?
Yes. We it wasn't in New York. It was in Philadelphia. We went to lunch.
Okay.
It was you, me, Brian Kong, David Culas, and probably my wife, Daphne, a couple other people.
Maybe me. Yeah, we had the pizza on the little standy thing, right?
I think so. Yeah, that was in Philly.
Yeah.
That I remember that Philly place. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a good con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
That must have been when we had that table in Philly. Remember that, Pete?
The table.
With me, you, and Brian. You
Right.
Brian and myself. So that had to be when we went to that place to eat afterwards, because we were always looking for places to eat. And then we were looking for checkers. You remember that? Brian always brings that up, that we were driving around aimlessly. This was before GPS to try and find checkers in New Jersey, because we had heard there was one there. And we were just driving, trying to find it, because we had the MapQuest direction, but we missed a turn. And I had to call my friend up. I had to call my friend up. Like, all right, we're here, who lived in the area. Where's the checkers? And he directed us on the phone trying to find checkers.
Yeah, see, this just goes to show you how old we are. Before GPS.
Before everything.
Before everything, exactly. Yeah. All right. So, gentlemen, this was awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Like I said, everybody, go check out their campaigns. Go pledge. And I want my damn book.
So in that case, Mr. Calderon, make sure you, as I tell everybody else who either already have, and that's another thing I found out about Kickstarter, you can't go and buy more than one book. If you buy a book, that's it. You can't buy like 8 books if you wanted to. I thought that was weird.
Well, you can always put it on as an add-on, and then in that space you can.
Oh, I didn't know that. As I always tell everybody, if you cannot afford, I don't know your financial situation, you cannot afford to even throw us $1, share it out there, tell people about it. That is sometimes worth more than that $1. And you can save that $1 to go get a sandwich or something at the dollar store or Dollar Tree. Just saying, I know how it is to be in certain types of financial situations. I've been up, I've been down, I understand. So just share it out there.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you for everybody for joining us. And I'll be talking to you soon. Guys, you're awesome. Have a good night, guys.
Bye. Thanks, chat.